My name is Christopher. I'm the AstroMedium and your host, intuitive astrologer for tonight's weekly cosmic forecast. We're going to be taking a look at the week of January 10th through January 16th. We're going to look at each day, day by day, and then we're going to later in the video go into more depth into some of these energies that we're coming into. And we'll talk more about them, how you can work with them, and what it's really going to bring in for you. So let's start with Sunday, January 10th. This is a rather slow day to get the week started. Not a lot of major things happening. We've got major energies building this week, as a lot of you may know. But Sunday is just a moon ruled day. We have the moon making a square to Neptune and an opposition to the North Node. So this is going to cause some confusion, some disconnected feelings, definitely in our feelings, extra sensitive, hypersensitive to things. But this is nothing compared to the gorgeous, benevolent energy that follows on Monday. Monday, January 11th, we've got some awesome moon transits. The moon will enter Capricorn at 8:31 a.m. and then we'll make all these awesome aspects to all these other major planets. The moon will make a trine to Mars, will make a conjunction to Venus, will make a trine to Uranus. This is very positive, very powerful, easy flowing energy coming in, lots of emotional passion, lots of emotional connection, which is going to cancel out any negative moods or vibes we may have gotten into on Sunday. And the moon making a trine to Uranus is going to help us break free of something, make us want to try something new. Uranus is the star of this year, as well as Saturn and Jupiter. And Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And this is the ruler, or this is the year of Aquarius. So we have major energies that are going to follow suit, and the moon's getting us ready for that. On Monday, we've got three major aspects happening. First, Mercury will make a conjunction to Jupiter. Whoa, that's going to expand the mind big time. Mercury and Jupiter then both form a sextile to Chiron. We're going to go more into that a little bit later in the video. Let's move to Tuesday. Tuesday, January 12th, the moon is going to make a trine to Lilith and the sextile to Neptune. So we've got emotional empowerment coming in. We've got some more intuitive insights coming in. But this is a more challenging day, as Mercury is going to do his thing and keep on moving quick as he does, and he's going to form a square to Uranus. This is not going to feel so great, and this is going to definitely open our minds to something new, but it's going to cause a lot of misunderstandings to happen, lots of unexpected events that may rattle our nerves, and Venus will make a square to Chiron. Oh, Venus, you little bitch. So Venus is doing her thing, and making a square to Chiron is truly a gift. Chiron is the wounded healer, and all of those wounds offer us a gift. Not just the gift of healing them, but a gift of healing others as well, and seeing things in a new perspective. Because a lot of those wounds that we have, those weaknesses, those insecurities, are just powers and gifts that we have yet to see that way. And with Venus square Chiron, a lot of these insecurities, these weaknesses are going to come up and trigger us in our relationships. Oh, we don't like that shit. Now let's move to Wednesday. This is the day that we've all been waiting for. This is really the most energy-packed day. There's so many moon transits happening, and it's the new moon in Capricorn. So the sun in Capricorn will make an exact conjunction, 0 degrees, to the moon in Capricorn at exactly 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is really unique as it's carrying us into the next day, and it's right in the middle of the night, so there's going to be lots of insomnia, lots of, for a lot of people, if you're like myself, new moons can even give a really odd anxiety. The full moon anxiety is just like you want to move, you want to get something going, your blood is pumping, almost like Mars energy. But new moon anxiety is a little weird. It's like chest pressure, it's vibrating in the body. It's a little bit different. The new moon in Capricorn, I'm going to go more in depth later in the video on how to work with that energy and what that's going to give to us. But that's an energy-packed day. So let's start with the moon. The moon is going to, of course, make a conjunction to the sun at exactly 12 a.m. And then a couple hours later, the moon will conjunct Pluto. So this whole new moon in Capricorn energy will be sitting, and we'll put everything under that umbrella. It's going to be very intense emotionally, okay? Later on in the day, the moon will make a conjunction to Saturn, which Moon and Saturn don't necessarily flow so great together, and the moon will make a conjunction to Saturn right before she makes a square to Mars. This is important because Mars is going to make his exact and third and final square to Saturn on Wednesday as well. So Mars in Aries formed 2 squares to Saturn in Capricorn in 2020, and now he's going to finish his Mars square Saturn mission. Fuck him with Saturn like he likes to do sometimes. Mars square Saturn is very heavy, very frustrating energy, very emotionally exhausting, energetically depleting, and the moon making a conjunction to Saturn and then making a square to Mars right after tells me that the moon is right there with us. So the moon likes to emotionally give us experiences, not just experiences we're witnessing out here and in day-to-day conversations with people and things playing out in the collective. This is going to be really up close and personal for us because we're going to feel it at the same time that it's happening. This Mars square Saturn energy is already building. We're already sitting in it now, but it's 0 degrees on that day, and then the moon is going to enhance that. The moon is also going to conjunct Jupiter in Aquarius, and then will make a square to Uranus and Taurus. This is going to trigger and set off emotionally all of the Jupiter square Uranus energy that we're sitting in. And Jupiter square Uranus goes 0 degrees on Sunday, January 17th. So we're already sitting in that energy. That's a major energy that's going to trigger a lot of what's to come in 2021. And Venus will make a trine to Uranus. So Uranus is getting a lot of attention that day. Venus will be done. She's not completely done making her square to Chiron, but now she's giving a lot of her focus to Uranus in a very powerful and positive way. That's probably the most positive thing about that day, besides moon conjunct Jupiter. Not that the other aspects are not giving us something that we're going to grow from. I'm trying to put all that lightly. It's just going to feel really heavy, really intense, and we're going to go into a lot of those details later in the video. So stick around for that. Let's move to Thursday, January 14th. This is another somewhat intense day, somewhat confusing. Some misunderstandings may happen. The moon is going to form a conjunction to Mercury early in the morning on the 14th. That's her only transit that day, and then she's going to go void of course. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that when we talk about Friday. But we've got some major transits happening, like the Sun conjunct Pluto, which is death to the ego, but also transformation to the ego. And there's a lot of power in Sun conjunct Pluto if we use those powers for good. But Mercury's doing his damn thing again and making a square to Lilith. So this is going to be very similar to Mercury square Uranus, in that there's some new ideas about things, non-conforming ideas, rebelling against other people's ideas, and this can cause misunderstandings, and this can cause some erratic behavior as we go about, because Mercury is not just our communication style and the way we mentally process things, it's also our day-to-day activities and our dealings with people, how all this information and all this communication gets across. So even transportation to work, all of that has to do with those short-term trips that Mercury rules. But Thursday is really an energetic shift day as well. Uranus, again, he is one of the main stars of 2021, as he is the ruler of Aquarius, and this is the year of Aquarius. Uranus will station direct and enter retrograde. I've been waiting for this. I love Uranus energy. He zaps the shit out of me. He awakens me. He has given me such bad anxiety, but Uranus going direct is going to electrically shock 2021 into existence. So 2021, we're already feeling all this Aquarius and Uranus energy build. We're already seeing a lot of this bullshit play out. If you're watching the news, I really don't, but of course I couldn't not hear about all this bullshit that went on in the Capitol. This is just examples of Jupiter square Uranus, especially energy coming in. Jupiter square Uranus, which is 0 degrees on the 17th. I mean, the Nat Turner slave rebellion happened during that time. The Emancipation Proclamation, the freeing of the slaves happened under a Jupiter square Uranus transit. Barack Obama was elected the first Black president during Jupiter opposite Uranus. And I am not in any way comparing this rebellion, I don't even want to call it that. I am in no way comparing this carnival act to the Nat Turner Rebellion or the Emancipation Proclamation whatsoever. Don't get me twisted on that. I'm just saying Jupiter square Uranus can create a lot of havoc energy. Lots of chaos can ensue, especially as Saturn is gearing up to make his square to Uranus, which he'll do 3 times this year. So Uranus entering retrograde on the 14th is going to send this energy into the stratosphere, because Uranus retrograde is, it's where the energy's been turned inward. All this electricity is being turned back in on itself, and now it's going to go back outward again. And we're really going to feel this and play this out in the collective, or see this playing out in the collective. Let's move to Friday, January 15th. January 15th is going to be an odd day, because this is one of the most energetically void days that I've seen in months. There are no major aspects going 0 degrees, and there are no moon transits happening, except for the moon making a transit into the sign of Pisces at 5:19 p.m. So on the 14th, the moon will make her conjunction to Mercury. I think it's 4:28 a.m. I don't know how I keep all this shit straight. And then the moon will not make another aspect to any planet the entire day on the 14th, or the entire day on the 15th. That's a very long time for her not to be having any conversations with anybody. And in astrology, we call that moon a void of course moon, okay, or a VC moon. So void of course basically means once she has made her last aspect to a planet before she enters the next sign, that energy, that window is called the void of course moon. She's made her last aspect. She's done having a conversation with one of these other planets, and then she's done before she enters another sign. We get this quite often. Void of course moon is not a rare event, but it happens at very short periods, maybe a couple hours, maybe half a day, but a day and a half, this is a long time. So the 15th until 5:19 p.m. on Friday, January 15th, when the moon enters Pisces, you're going to have a lot of ungrounded energy. So void of course moon energy is really good for not making important decisions, similar to a Mercury retrograde. Because there's an emotional instability and ungroundedness, you will benefit from more spiritual pursuits, because living in the body and living in reality, things don't seem as real too. So we're going to have some surreal feelings on Friday, and I'll go more into depth about that here in a little bit. Let's move to Saturday. Saturday, January 16th, we are going to finish the week off strong with a lot of sextile and trine energy. That's what we want to send this week off with, because it's very emotionally turbulent. Very turbulent out in the collective, as well as a lot of the major 2021 energies are going to be triggered this week. The moon is going to make a sextile to Mars, make a sextile to Uranus, make a sextile to Venus, and Venus is going to make a trine to Lilith. So we've got, now sextiles are not as powerful as a trine, so sextiles present a potential. It's something you do have to act upon, or do have to take the initiative to enact or activate that energy, but it does become available to you. The Venus trine Lilith energy is going to be really good, because we have experienced a lot of Venus energy this week. She's been making her rounds, doing her damn thing, and making a trine to Lilith. I mean, we've got the goddess of love and the she demon herself having a love affair, if you will, and supporting each other, really boosting each other's divine feminine energy, seeing the beauty in dark things, seeing accepting the raw, real aspects of our partners. And then of course, Lilith, seeing not only the beauty in her darkness, but taking things to a real deep level, taking love to a real deep level, and acceptance. There's a lot of acceptance energy with that. And of course, when we talk about Venus and Lilith, it's divine feminine energy and it's female empowerment. Okay, so let's go into a deeper look into this week. So we've got lots of energies at play. Every day offers us something unique, different, and I'm using those words specifically because we've got all this Uranus and Aquarius energy available to us now. So early in the week, with Mercury making a conjunction to Jupiter, we've got expansion of the mind. Jupiter is already the higher mind. So when Mercury, which is more of the lower mind, Gemini rules the lower mind, the opposite sign of Sagittarius, which Jupiter rules. So Mercury and Jupiter coming together, it's a merging of the analytical mind and the higher perspective. Mercury conjunct Jupiter is also seeing things more positively, much more positive outlook on things, and communications and day-to-day dealings will benefit from this greatly. And then the both of them are going to conjunct in the sign of Aquarius and form a sextile to Chiron in Aries. What a beautiful way to kick that energy off. Saturn later will also form a sextile to Chiron, and this we've got Jupiter and Saturn forming squares to Uranus, which are really the themes of this year. But underneath of all of that is Jupiter and Saturn forming sextiles to Chiron. And remember, sextiles are potentials. They're not things that necessarily will or just fall into your lap. You do have to activate that energy. But what does that tell me? We have new, expanded, and more structured ways of healing ourselves. And these are possibilities. So that's after all this chaos ensues in 2021, underneath of all of that will be a new tribe that Jupiter is bringing to us as he sextiles Chiron. If you choose to find people who vibrate in your frequency, who also have been through what you've been through and accept you for all those weaknesses, those insecurities and wounds that you have, Jupiter wants to bring those to you. Later, we'll talk in later videos about Saturn sextiling Chiron, but with Jupiter sextile Chiron, this is a really positive, easy flowing energy that allows you to see yourself out in the world as stronger, as more capable, as healed. Because healing really is a new relationship to our wounds. It's seeing it in a different way. And with Mercury sextiling Chiron in that way, that is your mental perception of it as well. So Mercury and Jupiter are coming together to not only enhance each other, but to trigger you in a positive way to not only heal, but to see your wounds differently, which offers a new level of healing. Because a lot of us want to heal to get rid of something, and really the healing comes from seeing it differently and going, this is actually a gift, not a curse. And speaking of relationships, the next day we've got Venus forming her square to Chiron. So this tells me that we have much more focus on healing at this time, much more opportunity, but now it's going to come up in our relationships. And this does not mean that relationships have to end because you suddenly realize we're playing out trauma together. That's part of the reason you all probably came together. So relationships don't need to sever and end because of this realization. They need to go to deeper understandings, that conscious awareness, that higher mind that Mercury and Jupiter are trying to stimulate you to, are asking you, hey, are you noticing this in your relationships? Also, when you relate to others, are you playing out your own trauma and your own wounds? Are you projecting things onto people? It might not just be your partner, it might be you. Are you holding on to your partner because you're afraid you're not going to find anyone else because you're unlovable? Chiron in the first house, like I have. You know, there's lots of different things playing out for us. And with Mercury also making a square to Uranus the same day, there's going to be some tensions coming up, not just in our relationships that we call that loved one, that partner, that significant other, or others. Okay, with all this Aquarius and Uranus energy, we are going to, the one-on-one relationship dynamic is expanding and growing into lots of different things. So all I'm going to say is with your relationships, especially if you're dating multiple people or even with your family and your friends, people you love dearly and you relate to on a constant basis, that's that Venus energy. The way you show love and receive love is being activated and triggered with this Chiron square. So pay attention to that and pay attention to these energies, because a lot of this is coming to you so that you are more aware of not just what needs to be healed, but more aspects of who you are. And a lot of us are becoming healers and stepping out into the world and saying, these are my abilities. This is what I have to offer. This is who I want to help. I want to be of service. And this takes us into the next energy that is really important this week, and that's the new moon in Capricorn. Talk about being of service. Capricorn is not as selfless as Virgo in his service, but Capricorn, or her service, Capricorn is an energy of service to a greater whole, similar to Aquarius, but for the purpose of growing. And it's hard to say growing because it's more about moving up. It's not about getting bigger. It's more about moving up with Capricorn energy, becoming more successful, public image. And the moon does not like being in Capricorn, okay? The moon, having a new moon in Capricorn is already going to feel somewhat heavy, somewhat detached. There's a coldness to it. There is a inability to see emotions or feel emotions in a specific way. Whether you have a moon sign in Capricorn or not, this new moon in Capricorn is going to feel a little odd. It's going to feel a little detached. It's going to bring things to the surface for you that are going to feel very heavy, as the moon is going to conjunct Pluto, send us really deep down into the deep depths of our psychological and emotional selves. So many challenging moon aspects on that same day. Mars making a square to Saturn. So this is a moon energy and experience. These full moons, new moons, they're experiences, they're energies that we sit in for days at a time. This new moon in Capricorn experience is asking you to come into more focus about what you want and where you're going next, as this is a closing of a cycle and the beginning of a new one. The full moon we just had in Cancer was the moon in Cancer, sun in Capricorn. So it was a separation and opposing forces between what we're doing out in the world, our public image, how we are professing ourselves, and how we are driving our energy into our career, and how we're making money, and how we view ourselves as successful, the ego stories we're telling ourselves of what success means, and then of course the emotional world, how we're getting our subconscious and emotional needs met, coming home and re-nurturing ourselves, reparenting our inner child. And of course the full moon in Cancer was a lot about healing ancestral trauma as well, with the moon making a square to Chiron, and of course Cancer being the ruler of the fourth house, which is all about ancestry and family and the home. So feeling more at home inside of your emotional world. And that was a really warm full moon. It was definitely energetically active, but it was full of deep emotional feelings that were coming up very easily. And a lot of people were purging a lot of emotions. This new moon in Capricorn is going to cause a lot of fatigue. And with Mars square Saturn there as well, there's going to be such a desire in us to drive our energy out, and the energy isn't there. It's really interesting. It's like we're going to have so much we want to accomplish and not enough reserves in the tank to get there. And that is really the theme there. Rest, recharge. What beliefs do you have that are causing you to use so much of your energy up? Do you believe time is running out? Do you believe that people are getting there sooner than you are? All of this is ego bullshit. And the subconscious and the ego are going to be working in tandem, and you can get in there and work with that subconscious even more. It's more available to you. So with the new moon in Capricorn, you absolutely want to do something for yourself, some kind of self-care, do some journaling. I will have a new moon in Capricorn ritual posted on my Instagram at the.astromedium. For those of you who do new moon and full moon rituals, I'll have one posted there. This is an energy of combustion as well, because there's all this Mars energy. Mars has now entered Taurus, which is frustrating. Mars doesn't necessarily like being in Taurus. He likes to move fast. Taurus is not fast. Taurus is somewhat lazy and slow moving, more patient and careful. And Mars doesn't give a shit about that. He wants to go. He wants to go now, and he wants to go wherever his heart desires. And that's not really Taurus energy. Taurus definitely feels the heart, but Mars entering Taurus is a lot like Mars and Aries in retrograde. So we're getting a little bit of this frustration again, wanting to go, but the way we used to get what we want done isn't working for us anymore. And with Mars and Taurus, there's definitely taking all those desires and turning it into form, turning it into something real, but form and reality and material. That takes more time and patience. And Mars ain't about that. And Mars making a square to Saturn, that is, I want to drive my energy home, but there's something pushing against me. My responsibilities and the things I should be doing, the right thing, the responsible thing, the adult thing. Oh man, it's like going to the club or going to the party with your friends and feeling guilty about it all night because you know you should be in bed because you got to get up early. It's just like, it's a lot of energies that are interacting and rubbing up against each other and causing a lot of friction. So again, this week it gets more intense with the Sun conjunct Pluto. And again, Sun conjunct Pluto is a very good thing. It just presents a lot of issues. There's a lot of ego stories that come about with that. Sun conjunct Pluto can transform the ego if we choose that, but it can also cause us to feel so powerful. We want to manipulate and have power over others. Remember, Pluto is the ruler of Scorpio. So there's that energy there, like when the Sun is in Scorpio, when the Sun in Capricorn making a conjunction to Pluto in Capricorn, right after this new moon in Capricorn, there's a lot of energy of power there and wanting to have power over each other. Capricorn rules government, corporations, laws. Capricorn can be somewhat of a greedy sign like Taurus. And with Pluto being there, are we using our power and our success to not just not feel our emotions and not feel empathetic towards others, but to have power over others and to use that? So it gives us an opportunity to reevaluate who we are. And Uranus going direct, this is energy that we have needed. This is that electrical energy that's been running everything that we really need. Uranus really is, like I said, one of the stars of 2021. Jupiter making his square to Uranus, and it's only going to happen exact at 0 degrees one time, but Saturn square Uranus, that's going to happen 3 times. January, June 14th, and December 24th, we're going to get 0 degrees Saturn square Uranus, and that is the main running theme of 2021. So Uranus he goes retrograde once a year. So he's now going to go direct into retrograde, and retrograde is that post-retrograde shadow period where we integrate a lot of the things we learned during the retrograde. Retrogrades are really powerful and felt for Mercury, Venus, and Mars. The outer planets, we don't feel their retrogrades the same way. They're not as up close and personal. They play out more in the collective, but Uranus direct is needed. This is like recharging the batteries that were depleted by 2020. We're getting these batteries recharged. I just keep seeing Back to the Future. It's like the DeLorean going from driving on the ground to being a flying car. I mean, the electric car was created during a Jupiter square Saturn energy, or excuse me, Jupiter square Uranus energy, and the Higgs boson particle, the God particle, was discovered during Jupiter square Uranus. So there's a lot of newness that's coming for us this year. Lots of new technology, lots of new scientific discoveries, lots of new ways that we structure our society, communities, corporations, businesses, jobs. The way that we function as a society as a whole is going to change because of 2021. 2020 was out with the old, and 2021 is in with the new. Uranus and Aquarius energy is so electrifying and so futuristic that all of this happening at once is really important. Now, we are building up to another really crazy event that will happen in February, which is going to really trigger all of this Uranus energy to be at its fullest potential when we have the super stellium in Aquarius. And it's really going to be super on February 11th when we have the new moon in Aquarius. The sun, the moon, Mercury will be retrograde, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, and Pallas will all be in Aquarius on that day. That is a superstellium that has not happened since the 1960s. That is, I mean, just imagine what happened in the 1960s. What a rebellious time. We're going to experience this again. This is a rebirth to a lot of this rebellious and revolutionary energies. And remember, revolution, we think of revolution as just taking something back, taking something over, taking our power back, rebelling against the power. But a revolution is something coming back and being revisited in a new way. So this is something we've seen before, but not like this. And in a year where Saturn is also making a square to Uranus. Saturn was in traditional, more ancient astrology, the ruler of Aquarius before we discovered Uranus in the 1700s. So Saturn loves being in Aquarius. He can do that. He likes it. He's able to express his energy pretty well. Jupiter, he likes being in Aquarius. So there's so much dignity and so much energy that is being fully expressed. Now, when we get to this superstellium in Aquarius, this can create a lot of chaos. It tilts the energies in one direction and it can imbalance things. But again, this is so needed. The image I keep being shown is like a defibrillator where you're rubbing it together and you're just shocking this year back into existence, shocking humanity back into, forget 2020. That's the past now. Now we're going into the future. And that's what 2021 is all about. And a lot of those energy signatures that will play out during this year are being triggered and beginning for us and starting to seep into our consciousness in the week of January 10th through the 16th. So pay attention what comes up for you during that new moon in Capricorn, and don't waste this time or that energy. All right. Thank you everyone for joining me. If you would like to book a reading with me, you can go to my website, www.christopherwithayMedium.com. I am a psychic empath medium, so I love to get information first from spirit, and then I go to your chart and your transits to get validation. Definitely. I love when they tell me something and it's showing up in your transits as well, but also to get a more clear picture of how and when all of that is going to play out. So a lot of my clients are booking with me right now to look at not just what's going on for them now, but what's going to play out over 2021 and in the years to come, so they know how to work with these energies better. They know what to anticipate and they can get the most out of it, because this is a very transformative year. 2020 was a breakdown year. This is a renewal year and a build up. This is the beginning of the next phase. So again, if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be going to Instagram at the.astromedium, the.astromedium. Again, if you want to get in contact with me, you can go through my Instagram or you can go through my website, christophermedium.com.